Episode 120. Are these comics going to make good film and television shows? We got Wonder Woman, we got James Bond, and we have Iron Man. Let's check them out right now. All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me as we talk about movies, television shows, and comic books. I am your host, Frank Zanca. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer. Nothing really to talk about on my own unless you go to my Amazon and check out some of my own books and comics. I got plenty up there. I will put that in the description, so you can put a link below there. There's also a trailer for a show I'm pitching right now where Nichelle Nichols played the main character right before she passed. But anyway, I'll leave all that in the description below. But in the meantime, let's go chat about Wonder Woman. So this is number 10. This is by the incredibly untalented Tom King, who just likes to hear himself talk. That's pretty much Tom King in a nutshell. He is overly verbose, and his plot lines don't go anywhere. I don't know how to describe what's been happening with this. He's like this stuff that he's done for Batman, same thing. He's just kind of all over the place. He kind of just shoves chapters out there that may or may not continue from what you've read before, and if they do, it's loosely attached. Like this whole storyline is started with this murder in a bar by an Amazonian, and supposedly all the Amazons, or not maybe all, but a huge chunk of Amazons came to the United States. Why? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. They live on Paradise Island, and apparently it wasn't paradise enough that they wanted to come to America. That is definitely not paradise and is man's world. So the whole thing I just do not understand. They didn't just come to visit. They came to live here. And then the murder took place, and then Diana, instead of being the person that she is and treating everything diplomatically, no, she ends up getting into a boss fight with the military that is being helmed by Sergeant Steele or whatever his name is. And then you have this thing called the Sovereign, who technically, I guess, is ruling the country from the sidelines. I don't know about any of it. Then suddenly, so that whole thing is over. I mean, I guess that it kind of ended in Amazon's attack, but it was never addressed in Wonder Woman again. Then there's this whole Trinity thing about the daughter. I have no idea what's going on at this point. There's just so many plot lines all over the place that are not even getting addressed at this point. Supposedly, the other woman that was could have been Trinity's mother in really, as opposed to not, the person that ends up, which I guess is Wonder Woman raising the child. I don't know, but according to the backstory here, it's Damien and Jonathan that are raising Trinity. But whatever. So then the last issue, the Sovereign somehow has captured her. We don't know how. We don't know anything, but she's literally been in months in captivity, being barely fed, and she doesn't try to break out or anything. I don't know what's going on, that she can't figure out how to get out of this thing. They literally open the door and talk to her, and she doesn't try to escape. She just sits there eating a rat. I don't even know. It's just the stupidest thing. The only reason I'm even collecting this anymore is because the artwork is phenomenal. So now you have Donna Troy and Cassandra, Yara Flor. So they're looking for the invisible jet. But the invisible jet was never really purely invisible. It was always an outline to it. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But anyway, so now we have Wonder Woman shows up on the shore of this island, And supposedly, Cheetah was also captured by the Sovereign and also thrown on this island. So Wonder Woman, look what's on Wonder Woman's hip right there. I think it's a lasso, but I'm just going to bring that up just for right now. So now they're still looking for the invisible jet, and she literally bonks right into it, and they laugh at her. And she says, fuck. And she's like, what does Yara Flores say? She says, a big fuck could be quite enjoyable, I think. But whatever. So now the Wonder Woman gets attacked by Cheetah. And again, Cheetah looks really good there. The artwork is phenomenal. So the artwork in here is a 9. The story is a 1. So just saying. So we have this great battle that happens that supposedly happens over days. Not just hours, but literally days. And see, here's the other thing, that there you can see through the jet right now, right? Where we just see the people, but not the actual jet itself, which is also weird. So they can't even see the controls because the controls are invisible. So she's just hitting buttons and she ejects herself. That's really funny. And they're like, "Is Donna Troy? Can she fly?" See how now it's nighttime, and he literally says that the thing goes on for days. And I guess Cheetah gets the best of Diana and chokes her out. What is going on here? So finally she lets up. Why? We don't know. She literally could have killed Diana right there and didn't. No clue. You can tell I'm getting kind of pissed off at this whole thing. It doesn't make any sense. And they're like, "Oh, look how pretty it looks through the floor." And supposedly Cassandra, who can fly, is afraid of heights. I don't know. He's like, "Well, I don't fly that far off the ground." What? So now Diana wakes up and she's got Cheetah making a bonfire. I guess they haven't eaten in days. I don't even know at this point. And they're sitting there on each other's shoulder, holding hands, crying at one another. What is going on here? What is going on? I have no clue. I have no clue what's going on. And then here's where it gets. Plus, if this thing went on for days, I just showed you that she had the lasso on her hip the entire time of the fight, the entire days that went on. And Diana couldn't use that to trap her, especially when it said that they went to different corners to recoup and then come back. She couldn't set some kind of trap because Diana's smarter than that. But anyway, they finally land, and we find out that Sergeant Steele actually gave them the coordinates. So if Sergeant Steele had the coordinates this whole time, why didn't he give us the coordinates of where the Sovereign was holding her for months? But now, when she closes the cockpit, they can't even see inside. None of this makes any sense. And then we get this stupid backup story about Trinity trying to fly a kite, and she can't do it, and nobody can do it, so they bust Kite Man out of Arkham to be able to help her fly a kite, and apparently, they busted him out and then got his suit for him as well. It's just retarded. So, to make a good film or television show, 1984 was better than this shit. That tells you something. All right, let's move on to Iron Man. So Iron Man, so Tony married Emma Frost because of this whole thing with Orcus that was going on. And I guess Orcus stole his technology to create Iron Man Sentinels. That is a really good idea. I like that idea a lot. So you have Iron Man Sentinels running around, trying to kill mutants, etc., and getting Orcus more powerful. And you got this guy that I can't remember, the villain with the F. I can't remember his name. Not that I care. So Iron Man was, fighting this whole thing. He ended up going into some existential crisis and whatever. But anyway, so Rhodey just walks into a bar, which is kind of like a joke starting right off the bat, where we have a whole bunch of supervillains, and he goes to recruit the supervillains and has Master Blaster or whatever is there, the Human Laser or whatever, and Sandman. And they're like, we can vouch for him. We need to go fight this. And I guess he and Tony had this cache of weapons that he looted to give to the villains to help them fight. Okay. That's a cool splash page there, by the way. So you got Stiltman or whatever else, and you have Rhino. And anyway, he gave them, and you could see the weapons that he handed them. You see the rifle and the guy in the red. So what is Rhodey thinking here? I have no clue. But anyway, there's one of the Sentinels, and Sandman, grows big to fight it, and, they're chatting back and forth as they do. He's like, I missed this armor, etc., because also he was in jail for a while. And he's like, well, where's Tony? And Tony's, he's probably on a beach somewhere. Meanwhile, he's fighting, I guess, on a beach, because that's the Battle of Ferris wheel from California. I don't know where he's actually at. But anyway, he finds these women that are like taking pictures, and he goes to save them. And they're like, no, I have to get my gear. And the thing attacks her again, and he grabs the phone on the stick there and hits them with it, and they get pissed off that was my only phone. And they walk away pissed off that he ruined the phone. So he flies over to talk to Rhodey. But before that, he ends up getting these Sentinels that are attacking this power plant. So he destroys one with weapons, and the second one, this is where it gets kind of stupid, he literally punches off its head. What? Anyway, moving on. So he goes and flies down to go to Rhodey and help in the other battle. And the artwork here is pretty decent. And I do like all the action that Iron Man is doing. But anyway, so in the middle of the battle, these guys decide to have a tiff. I don't understand this either. So they have a tiff. He's like, oh, you sent me, I was in jail, you didn't help me, blah, blah. And he's like, well, I was busy. I wasn't on vacation. And he points down, I thought this was kind of cute. He points down to the ground where it says that Stark, buy Sparks for Stark, which is like his wedding and stuff like that and all this other stuff. So anyway, he punches him in the face, and he's like, yeah, I may have deserved that. And meanwhile, then Rhodey pitches him on basically starting a Thunderbolts with all these villains. And he's like, I don't know if that's a good idea. And he's like, I'm going to do it anyway. And I says, I see you gave them all of our weapons. And he's like, well, this is kind of like a little test, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So he's like, all right, whatever you want to do. What's going on here, man? And then we get the ending here where he hits Emma Frost, and Emma Frost what happened to the villain, and literally he shoved him in a coffin, and he's like, well, you're not going to hear about him anymore. So you basically buried him alive? Is that something Iron Man would really do? And they walk away, and I guess we're going to figure out what happens in their relationship from this point on. So, the things I like the idea of the Sentinels being Iron Man tech. I kind of like that. The whole guy with Falafel or whatever his name is there, I can give a crap about him. The idea of Emma Frost and Iron Man together, I kind of like that. I think that kind of works, and it kind of moves him into the X-Men. If Tony Stark was still alive, of course, in the movies, we really couldn't do because he was married to Pepper Potts, so this couldn't really happen. But now if they start doing a different universe where he and Pepper are not together, and we had a whole new Iron Man, this would be kind of cool because it would kind of mix it with the X-Men. So I kind of like all that, where it's kind of a different Ultimate Universe or whatever. I think this kind of could work. It has to be totally restructured. But I like Rhodey being in there and all that stuff. All the villain things was stupid. All the villains were just stupid. All right, so let's move into James Bond. I've been looking to finish this thing for a while because I have not been happy with what Garth Ennis was doing here. The one with Philip Kennedy Johnson was really good. I really, really enjoyed that one. And then I come into this one thinking I was going to enjoy this, and it's just not good. So this is about Stalvoda, which actually it's not in Russian, but in Swedish it means stable water. So I just looked that up. And it's about this weapon, I guess the Russians were developing, that created a weapon out of water where you could freeze somebody up and then it would immediately uh, distill and go back into water, and then it would just dissipate. So when somebody was killed, you couldn't tell how they were killed because the weapon is then gone. So the Russians didn't know how to finish it, so they allowed the Americans to steal it, so that the Americans would then finish it, and then the Russians would re-steal it back. And that's what we're at right now, is that the Americans did that, and then the Russians stole it, and now Bond ended up going into space to get information. Like, anybody can just go onto the space shuttle. Stupid shit. And he was given information by this guy that likes to wade into the water off the beach. I'll walk through that in a second. And then on top of that, we have him now finding the place and basically placing a tag so that they could be airstrike the factory where the stuff is being made or manufactured or developed or whatever. So here we start with the jets that are on their way to drop their payloads on that factory, and we find out, of course, that Bond had a relationship with the female pilot. I guess we should be thankful that it's not a male pilot. Otherwise, it's silly. Just happened to him haphazardly, just sleeping with everybody in existence. So the end of the last one, he says, I want to do something first before you guys drop the payload, so give me a few minutes. And then he immediately runs to this guy, so we never find out what he was trying to do. So here's the big guy that he's fighting, and he ends up stabbing him through the bottom of his chin and through his mouth. So his mouth is shut. And that would mostly take almost anybody out of a fight. But no, it pisses the guy off even more, and he ends up running after Bond. So we have this fight that continues. I know somebody on Thinking Critical, one of the guys on the aficionados, thought this was one of the best issues. And I guess there is a lot of action, but I don't like this whole thing. And I think everybody agreed, even on aficionados, that this was not a good story. So the Philip Kennedy Johnson one was far superior. So he can't talk, so he's trying to tell them that there's a spy there, but can't tell anybody. But meanwhile, Bond doesn't get very far before he's lambasted with a whole bunch of bullets, which causes him to stop and put his hands up. And I just want you to look at the structure of those people, the people that are surrounding him. Okay, just look at that structure. All right. So now the planes come in and strafe and hit everyone but Bond. What? He was in the middle of them. So anyway, Bond gets away, and he's now has a fight with the guy in the truck who throws him through the window. And you're going to laugh at this. This is extremely comical. So he's on the ground, still fighting with them, and M and Moneypenny are just waiting for the thing to be completed. And the girl and the pilot, the female pilot, is laughing at him getting kicked his ass, and he's like calling for help. And he's like, I'm going to bring him up there so you can help me. So he literally head first goes into the grill of the truck and is wearing the grill around his neck. Come on, man. Come on. This is like Yosemite Sam shit, man. So they get him. They end up fighting on top of the truck just long enough for Bond to jump, and the plane cuts the guy in half. Okay. So Bond is continuing to run, and now he says, "All right, give me about 30 seconds to drive the payload," and that's the interior of the Stelvoda, and he gets just far enough away. I love this picture, by the way, of Red Sonja. I think that is. I don't know if that's AI or anything like that, but I think that picture is beautiful. Anyway, moving on. Too bad the book. I tried to collect the book because the cover artwork was this book is bad. But anyway, so they finally drop the thing, and I guess he has one jolt of the Stelvoda, which he ends up putting in front of him to block the explosion. and you can see what it looks like, and then it turns to water and the whole bit. And so he narrowly escapes, and he gets on a bus that I guess was called for him by Moneypenny, and then we go to like a week later, and he goes to visit the guy that he originally got some information from that was, wades in the water, and he's still wading in the water. I hope he went back home at one point. But anyway, Bond shoots him in the head, and I guess the girl is an agent because she's like, "Did you just leave his body in there?" And he's like, "Well, it'll show up eventually." And that's the end of that. And thank God that's the end of that, because this has been pretty bad. I mean, there was some good action in here, I got to say, but a lot of it was just too comical, and it just went over the edge, just far too much. Bond already is over the edge, just believing in some of this stuff. Will it make a good film or television show? No, this is junk. This is junk. And if it wasn't 6 issues, I would have killed this thing a while ago, but I knew it was just going to end. Invincible Iron Man, yes, parts of it would make a good film. Parts of it. Not the whole story, but there are definitely good parts of that. And Wonder Woman, hell no. Again, if it wasn't for that art, if this art wasn't good, I would be going nowhere near this. Now, is he going to continue after 12? I don't know. I kind of hope he gets done and we bring somebody else in there. Let's get somebody that can write. I hate to say it. Let's bring Joshua Williamson in here. I mean, he really sucks with DC characters, but maybe he can get Wonder Woman. For all we know, we're going to get Kelly Thompson to fuck this shit up. It can't get worse than this, though. And now I say that, it probably will be. Bring Marika Tamaki back. She's the worst. She is the worst. Anyway, why she still has a job, I have no clue. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I went a little long on this one because I was ranting about some of this shit. But anyway, remember to give me a like and a subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. And also give me a subscribe if you can. I am trying to grow the channel out. And yeah, ring the bell, ding, ding. It's free. Why not? Anyway, check out some other videos, and I will see you guys on the next one. Check out my Amazon for my books and comics as well in the description and the link below. And again, I'll see you on episode 121. See you then. Bye-bye.